So friends, in a Florida courtroom on Friday, Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon will, in substance, put Special Counsel Jack Smith on trial, taking up the issue of whether Jack Smith should even be allowed to prosecute the man who gave her her job, defendant Donald Trump. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, on the legal front, we continue to live in the upside down. Since the 1800s, special counsel, specially appointed prosecutors, have been investigating, indicting, and trying cases, none of which seems to matter to Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon, because on Friday, apparently ignoring all well-settled precedent, Judge Cannon will hold an extended hearing on the question of whether Special Counsel Jack Smith has any right to prosecute defendant Donald Trump. Yes, the very defendant who gave Judge Aileen Cannon her lifetime appointment to the federal bench. The legal upside down. Now, friends, I want to start by quoting pretty extensively from a new article in the Daily Beast, because it does a nice job of kind of setting out what to expect in Friday's hearing and sort of where things go from there, what the stakes are. So please bear with me while I read a good bit of this Daily Beast article, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. Headline: Trump's favorite judge puts Mar-a-Lago prosecutor on trial. And that article begins, "The tables have turned. Had everything gone according to plan, Donald Trump would be on trial right now in South Florida for hoarding classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago ocean estate after leaving the White House. The politician, still licking his wounds from his New York conviction, would be desperately fighting to stave off a humiliating distinction, becoming the first former president to be branded a two-time felon. Instead, a very different trial of sorts will be underway this Friday at a tiny federal courthouse in the sunny beach city of Fort Pierce, one that will awkwardly put the Department of Justice on the defensive, with government lawyers asserting their most fundamental right to even try this historic case. All the pressure will be on Special Counsel Jack Smith, the roguish-looking federal prosecutor whose quiet demeanor has only added to the gravitas of this legal fight. Meanwhile, Trump won't even need to be there, leaving the top Republican presidential candidate free to continue crisscrossing the country while the prosecutor that's been on his tail for a year is stuck in a courtroom. The power dynamic has shifted, and it's all due to one person, U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon. Quote, "Judge Cannon is a disgrace to the concept of impartiality and integrity on the federal bench. This case should already have been tried to a verdict," said Dennis Aftergut, a former federal prosecutor who has monitored the Mar-a-Lago case. Her MAGA-friendly rulings have managed to delay the case so badly that it now looks as if Trump might escape trial altogether if he manages to win the national election in 138 days. After all, what's the point of prosecuting a man who, as president, can order his attorney general to simply kill the investigation or choose to pardon himself? Trump has made clear he has no intention of respecting the DOJ's independence if he returns to office, despite the fact that both options are red lines of corruption so familiar to banana republics around the world. Cannon continues to push back key deadlines and give in to Trump's delay tactics by considering legal arguments that other judges have quickly dismissed. In her latest move, she'll explore whether Attorney General Merrick Garland even had the authority to appoint Smith as special counsel on November 18, 2022, a DOJ practice that has been used several times in high-profile cases without any successful challenge and has become standard in American politics. So let's dig down a little on the historic use of special counsel. In March, the DOJ countered by pointing to history. Special counsels have been used to investigate all kinds of political scandals dating back to the presidency of James A. Garfield in the 1880s. The Supreme Court already took a look at this in 1974 when it decided, during the Nixon affair, that the Attorney General does indeed have the authority to appoint a special prosecutor. Since then, there have been special counsels during every single presidential term, even during Trump's time in office. Prosecutors noted how the appellate court in D.C. came to the same conclusion when it backed the appointment of Robert Mueller to explore Trump's Russiagate debacle. Quote, Congress has also long demonstrated its understanding that the Attorney General has authority to appoint special counsels by repeatedly appropriating funds for the Attorney General to compensate them, prosecutors wrote. So friends, even though the law and the precedent is clear regarding the legality and the propriety of using a special counsel, Judge Cannon has decided to let a bunch of conservative activists come in and present oral arguments at Friday's hearing. Last week, a band of conservative activists threw its support behind Trump, arguing that the real problem here is that the AG shouldn't have plucked Jack Smith from his job as an anti-corruption prosecutor in Europe and instead should have tapped one of the nation's active 93 Senate-confirmed U.S. attorneys. The Trump-friendly argument conveniently says that nearly all the special prosecutors appointed during the past 40 years, aside from Smith and Robert Mueller, have been lawfully appointed. Friends, did I mention that we're living in the legal upside down? You know what Judge Aileen Cannon should have done with Donald Trump's motion to just toss his case? Because, you know, Jack Smith shouldn't be prosecuting him at all. She should have decided it on the papers. No hearing is necessary. She should have decided it on the papers, in other words, by reading Trump's motion and the prosecutor's opposition, and she should have ruled from the bench with one word: denied. You know, let me actually quote something that a 27-year-long federal judge recently said about Judge Aileen Cannon's performance in the Trump case. Judge Shira Scheindlin. Here's what she just said about Judge Cannon in an NPR interview. Quote, most experienced judges, which of course I consider myself after 27 years, try to know which motions really require further consideration and argument and which, instinctively, you could say, frankly, one word: denied. You can rule from the bench. And that is what Judge Cannon should have done. Rather than invite a bunch of conservative political types to come in and present arguments, people who are not even involved, they're not parties in the case, are going to present arguments to a trial court judge? I never saw that in my 30 years as a prosecutor. I'm not saying it's never happened, but on an issue like this, it shouldn't happen. But you know what, friends? That's not the only thing Judge Scheindlin said about Judge Aileen Cannon's performance in the Trump case. The main thing that stood out to me is how she, Judge Cannon, has constantly caused delay in the case instead of moving it forward. She's done that in two ways. One is her inability to rule in an efficient manner. The second thing that stands out to me is what appears to me to be her dislike of the government, meaning the prosecutors, and her favoritism toward the defense, meaning Donald Trump. You know, friends, I almost hope Judge Cannon grants Donald Trump's motion to dismiss his case, because Jack Smith will absolutely appeal her ruling, and he will win on appeal. But even more importantly, it may finally give Jack Smith what he thinks he needs to file a motion to recuse, a motion to remove Judge Aileen Cannon from the Trump case and have appointed a fair, impartial, independent judge to preside over Donald Trump's federal prosecution down in Florida. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.